right, I'm going to do a thing. Gonna go get some ticks on my nuts. In this episode, we see a squirrel, a butterfly, and an amazing view. Ah, gotta stop. This looks amazing. Hold on. Clouds opened up. I can never tell if this hat looks good or bad. I know it looks hipstery and doofy, but good hipstery and doofy or bad hipster and doofy? It's a mess. Good morning from the campsite. Actually, I slept just right over here. And I'm going to stay here another night just because I want to go slower. I just want to chill. What I'm going to do this morning is, with the low chance of rain, walk around this area a little bit and just kind of check out what's in the local area. I'm right up against this really big lake called, what's it called? Kushadoko? No, that's the other one. Kushadoko. Here we go. The defining feature of it is it's pretty big. And I think just like Mashuko, which is the other lake that I visited from above yesterday, it looks like a crater lake. I'm not completely sure if it is or not, but it definitely has that appearance. And where I thought there was an island in the middle of the other lake yesterday, I was wrong. There is one on this lake. There used to be two islands, and one of them has become a peninsula because of volcanic activity connected it to the mainland. And the peninsula is right over there. So I'm going to walk out down that peninsula. All I know about this peninsula is that, one, apparently there is hot spring-ish type of activity going on, and two, the signs inside of the visitor center say be careful of dani, and that means ticks. Last thing I want is another tick on my dick like I had in Croatia. That was a mess. Anyway, so this is the map, and I'm gonna go from the you are here point to the you are there point and just see what's along the way. I've got a little bit of breakfast in my bag. It's not that early. It's like right after 8 now. I got up at 6 and just sort of diddled around. The place is fine. I think it's a little expensive. It should be 1,000 yen instead of 1,500 yen. That would be a much nicer price. But the showers are actually really quite good. You get 10 minutes for 200 yen, which is a quite long time. And the thing that's cool about this, I don't think that I've used coin showers in other countries. You can pause the water. So like if you only get 5 minutes, you just like turn it on, wet, pause, soap, turn it back on, and you can get done in 5 minutes of water. So 10 minutes of water is like a dream. And there are facilities for doing laundry. I'm gonna do some laundry, just get ahead on it tonight probably. The toilets are, this is my only complaint aside from it being a little expensive. And I think that if this was resolved, I would be okay with the price. There's no washlets on the toilet. I know that sounds crazy, but guys, I'm sorry, I just cannot not wash myself after I do my business. Like I've been in Japan too long. I'm sorry, paper does not cut it. It does not do it. So what ended up happening is this morning I got up and I did my pleasantries, and then I was like, I had to take a shower. So it cost me 200 extra yen because there was no washlet. Because I'm kind of psycho. So anyways, that was the situation. Oh, and by the way, I probably put B-roll of a toilet in and the water looked disgusting. That wasn't like filth. That's just what the watercolor looks like, because they use like groundwater or something that's not filtered for the toilets for environmental reasons or whatever. So anyway, I didn't like, I didn't just like splash up some nastiness on the screen, I promise. This is information that I had that I'd forgotten that I've regained. They have a Loch Ness monster style creature that lives in this lake, and its name is Cushy instead of Nessie. So we're gonna be on the lookout, because this weather is the kind of day that a Loch Ness monster style creature is gonna pop up, and I'm just gonna get a fuzzy like picture from a distance, like maybe a little bit of light refraction and, you know, a shake. Out of focus business. I'm sure we'll capture something today. Look at this dreariness. Quite bummer, but I got walking down there, and then I realized my memory cards are about to run out of space, and so that means I got to format my other memory cards, but I'm not sure if they're backed up completely, so I have to triple check that so I don't delete a bunch of crap. So I had to walk back to the campsite, get the computer out, do all that stuff. This is like behind the scenes stuff you guys don't know happens. It's kind of a frustrating situation when you're like moving. You're like, all right, I'm going to do a thing. Gonna go get some ticks on my nuts. And then you gotta stop and come back. All right, it only takes like 10 minutes. It's not a big deal. So we're all set. Formatted, got good. 5.5 hours of data here we can create all right on this peninsula. I think I'm all set. Just at the start of getting onto the area of the peninsula that probably was the beginning of the island, there is an open air onsen, and it's natural. And there's this hot water there flowing down into the lake, and you can see some steam and stuff coming up. And it is kind of a greenish, not so inviting looking thing, but you can get in and see how it feels. It smells kind of, but it's here. I've learned a thing from a sign. I love signs. Apparently, this is a volcanic crater, a caldera, and it used to be a much bigger one. And over time, other areas of the volcano have exploded, creating the other lake that we saw yesterday, and then the stinky area that I went to last night where I said I saw a naked girl. That has then changed the topography of things and made some land where there wasn't land before and put another lake where there wasn't a lake. But apparently like this whole area was one huge, huge lake. These are some pretty big mushrooms, and they have a pungent yet still sweetish smell to them. Part of me kind of wants to give them a taste. Maybe I'll have a bite, but just to give you an idea of the size, here's a water bottle, and there's a mushroom. Don't worry, Barb, I'm just joking. I'm not gonna eat the wild mushrooms. Probably. The fog's lifting a bit, making me less hopeful about seeing that monster in the sea. This has been a pretty substantial hike through the woods. They said it'd be an hour, so maybe I'm stupid, but it feels like it's been longer than an hour. Not a whole lot has happened, it's just pretty. And the one thing that is defining, aside from just how pretty it is, there are flying things everywhere. There's those giant Japanese hornets all over the place. There are mosquitoes all over the place. There are these big flies all over the place. It's been a bit much with the flying critters, man. There's some areas right along the shore that have got volcanic activity, steam coming up out of the ground. Apparently it is warm enough year-round to keep the snow from accumulating, which keeps the ecosystem alive. It gives like crickets and grasshoppers and like all those types of things moss to eat. So even in the deepest part of the winter, where this lake completely freezes, by the way, they are able to like keep those little critters alive. And that's a nice little thing, isn't it? The earth is just like, here's a little bit of life for everybody. And the lake freezes to the degree where apparently it will freeze, and then some days will get warm enough that the ice will like change and then refreeze, and it will create a mountain of ice that crushes up from below. So you'll see these hills appear along the frozen ice of the lake. And it's apparently a rare phenomenon that only happens kind of in this area in Japan, is what they said. And I don't know if it happens in other parts of the world, it was unclear. And that it only happens on certain days, like the temperatures have to be like the right changing levels for it to occur. But that'd be kind of neat to see. There's no shortage of these little black beetle guys that I keep running across, just walking across the path. And every once in a while you see a group of them. I can't tell if they're banging or fighting. I don't know where their inputs and outputs are or whatever, but there's a party happening, and it's either a good party or a bad party. I'm back at the campsite, and I would say that that hike was probably not worth the time, the energy, and the risk of ticks for what you get out of it. It's fine, but it's just a lot of bugs and stuff. I did see a butterfly. The butterfly was kind of nice, but all the other critters, man, it was kind of a bummer. And I like wanted to go and find a place in the woods, like, you know, by the water, sit down, have my breakfast. It's like now it's like 10 or something. I'm starving, but I didn't want to sit still because there's so many bugs everywhere. So it just sort of was like, came back here, and now I'm going to eat the breakfast that I got, which is a long pastry. And they have two versions of this. One of them was like short and round, and one of them was long. And I got the long one, which was a mistake because in my bag it got all like jumbled up, and the other one would have been fine. It's that Yolcon stuff that I've been enjoying, and it looks like it's got some cream on the inside. It's really good. These things are the best thing at the pastry department of Seiko Mato, without a doubt. It's astonishing to me that some people can fit inside of this teeny tiny little white tent here. I don't even know half my body would fit in there. I think I could fit 3 of those tents inside of my tent. I mean, we sleep in like a little, Actually starting to see some blue skies. Let's go for a scoot. I haven't done any research on a place to scoot, but I found a road that looks kind of curvy, and it is a mountain pass, and it's not that far away. So let's go up the mountain pass. Kind of expect we're not going to see a very good view from the top because of the clouds, but the drive might be fun. Quick and easy scoot up the hill, even though I was stuck behind a truck, slows you down a little bit, but it's still okay. It's still fun to go back and forth. And I got up to the Michinoeki, and it is completely in a cloud. Like, absolutely. So I turned around and came back down, and the view of the lake right at the cloud line is badass. The clouds are sometimes floating in and disturbing your view, but sometimes they break open, and what it's doing with the light and stuff is really cool looking. It's a pretty nice scene. The Michinoeki itself, though, is a little bit foggy. I'm standing here making a time lapse. Listen to this truck. Why is it making this noise? I think it's full of onions. I don't know what's compelling me to go to the high place, because I know I'm not capable to see anything. But I'm going to the high place. I have made it to the high place, and as predicted, you can't see shit. But you got this wicked sounding wind noise. And it feels like I'm on another planet compared to where I was where I made that time lapse. It really honestly isn't that far away. There's also some stacked up rocks because you're in Asia and there's a high place, so people are going to stack some rocks. That's how they do, you know what I'm saying? I think I'm going to grab a bite to eat at this Michinoeki. I'm a long way from other restaurants, and I would rather just not push myself into this point where it's like, okay, I'm near a restaurant now, but they're all closing because it's 2 o'clock. So I'm going to avoid that. I've only been in Japan for like over a decade. I'm now just like figuring this out. Like, just make sure you just eat when you can, because everything will be closed when you want. Good news. Wonderful, look more room. It's like, it's really tight. Good news, this Michinoeki has got some interesting food, and the interesting part is twofold. One, it's a bowl of ramen and an interesting looking bowl. It's an upside down mountain or something. And then two, it is served with wasabi, and not horseradish wasabi, but wasabi that's from the plant in this area. It's called mountain wasabi. I assume that makes it just like normal fresh wasabi, but I actually don't know if that maybe is another regional thing that they've got going on. But I love wasabi, so this is great news. The portion seems like it could be maybe a little small, but it's hard to tell with how deep this bowl is. This was 1,000 yen, and I'm just gonna start with, ooh, it's really strong and good smelling. Yeah, like wasabi is like one of my favorite things. I love that feeling that it gives you. This is not my normal brand though. This is shoyu ramen, and that's like a soy sauce based one. That's my least favorite of the standard ramens out there. But I figured, you know, whatever, wasabi, basically. We've got a thin, crinkly noodle, which I think Katie would like that. Depends on how firm it is. It's actually really good. It's so amazing that you can come to like a roadside stop and get a bowl of ramen. It's like really good. And it's only 1,000 yen, so it's like what, $8 or something like that? Let's have a piece of pork. Or is this beef? I guess it's pork. I don't know, it's hard to tell if it's pork or roast beef. I would say that's roast beef, but I'm not sure. It's actually cold, which is interesting because the soup itself is really hot. It's fine. The wasabi though is what's making this. It's like legitimately good. It's so much better than that like green dyed stuff that you get like at cheap sushi places. It's really flavorful. The broth is fairly, yeah, the broth is like nice and it's good. It's rich, but not like ridiculously rich. It's not like too heavy. Yeah, I would say this is like quite good for something you just get at literally a road stop. All right, I checked with staff. The meat is pork. It is not roast beef. I think that the thinly sliced cuts or whatever, the fat that was on it kind of tricked my brain. I'm bad at identifying food, I'm not gonna lie. All right, it is scooting time. We're gonna scoot out of the cloud. And the plan is to go down to the bottom of the mountain pass on the other side from where I'm staying, and then do a loop that brings me back to where I'm staying via another lake. So I'm gonna be going down to a little area called Bihoro and getting gas because I'm gonna need gas. And then just kind of cruising along. So this gives me a pretty cool loop to do for the day. I'm not sure how long I'm going to stay out today. I've been keeping an eye on the weather, and as usual, it's like it was going to rain all day, and then it was not going to rain until noon, and then it was going to not rain until 3, and now it's not going to rain until 6. So the threat of rain is real, but the actual rain seems like it never really occurs. This has dropped me down into the central plain area of Hokkaido, where all the farms and everything are once again. But this specific road has got all of these trees running along the sides of it, and it's really nice. Like, it gives you a little bit of shade, it's catching some of the wind, and it's better than just having nothing. It gives you a sense of speed too when you're driving, so it's keeping people from going 120 kilometers an hour. I wish more roads had more trees. I really like trees. We should do more trees, people. A+ for the trees. We're all fueled up. And as I was finishing my fueling, I got the opportunity to catch somebody using one of the car washes here in Japan, which are different than the car washes in America, or at least they were when I lived in America, where in America you drive into a big building and like all this stuff happens and like, you know what I'm saying? Like the car gets washed. Here, you drive onto a platform and the building moves around you. It's some sort of like in Soviet Russia joke, only I'm in Japan. I've been looking at a map trying to see if there's anything like in this little town that I should check out. I was like, I look up like recommended places or whatever, recommended foods, things like that. Like flipping through things. And it shows me a little triangle that you can sleep in that's on a stick. And I was like, oh shit, I've stayed here. I've been in this town before. Recently, like a couple weeks ago or a week ago or something. My map is all like looped around now. I've been all over the place in circles and stuff. It's hard to keep track of it all. I think these people have got a little house of their own house. That's kind of dope. Check out this neighborhood though. Look how much different this looks if you're familiar with other cities in Japan. There's sidewalks. Everybody has a yard, even if it's a little on the ratty side. People have large lots. The houses are a lot bigger. It feels like it's sitting on a grid as well, which is not ridiculously out of place, but it's a bit out of place in Japan. Things are just developed so much different up here than they are in other parts of the country. It's developed later and with a lot more space. I'm not sure I really dig on it, to be completely honest, but I don't have to live here, so I guess my opinion doesn't matter that much. I don't think I'm going to hang out in this town at all. I'm just going to head out. It's still like an hour to get to this lake that I want to go to, and then I'm not even sure how much further I have to drive after that to get to back where I'm staying this evening. So I'm just going to keep kicking it. I did a quick look to make sure I wasn't missing anything like interesting I could get for fika or something. It doesn't seem like anything popped out on the internet, so if it's here, it's hiding. By the way, it is way hotter by like 10 degrees Celsius down here than it was where I was staying. The difference is dramatic, and I kind of prefer where I was, even if the threat of rain seems like it is eternal. There is no shortage of road work being done. That shows because the roads are in great condition, but you have to constantly be on alert for signs that'll like slow down, because there might be a dude in the road very soon waving a flag at you to stop you, because there's a whole crew of dudes doing a bunch of work on the road ahead. This happens a lot, like multiple times a day, it seems like. And I'm sure it's partly because they do a lot of the work in the summer, but it does happen a lot. Be careful if you're up here driving. Headed this way out of Bihoro, there are not as many trees on the side of the road, and it is way windier. I'm not sure if those trees were doing that much stoppage of wind, but if they were, wonderful. Looks like I'm rolling into another little town just briefly. I think it's possible that I hitchhiked in this town, but what in the hell, what is this? Is this a school? Yeah, it turns out that's a junior high school. That's like one of the coolest looking junior high schools I've ever seen. There's so many schools in Japan that look exactly like all the other schools and they're not at all interesting looking. This has actually got some personality and it looks like it was built sometime in the, I don't know, last 100 years like the other ones. See what I mean? More construction dudes. But these dudes aren't working on the road. They're working on some power lines or something. But just be careful. You don't want to hurt your dudes. I've stopped at yet another Michinoeki. I'm in search of sweets. And this one has got something unique, being some dead trains that appear to be sitting where maybe there used to actually be a train station. I'm assuming there was a train line here. There's no signage to really explain what it is, but it looks like a dilapidated train station they turned into a coffee shop, kind of. But one of the dead trains is specifically badass. This one. It has a bunch of snow removal gear on the front of it. So while it's flying down the track, it can blast all the snow off the track, and then it's got walls that come out the side of it so that the snow doesn't blow back onto the cars behind it and actually pushes it out further away from the tracks. I can't imagine what it would be like to drive one of these things, what that would look like, to see it going by. Just snow exploding up off the track. It's sweets time. They have this thing called a kumayaki, and it is that Japanese pancake batter type of thing that's got stuff on the inside. It's a cute little bear. They're marketing this thing hard too. They've got lots of signs and stuff. This is really boldly marketed in a way that's gonna make people want to buy t-shirts and stuff. But here we go, let's get into him. I'm gonna bite his head off. Feel bad about it. I got豆乳and custard cream on the inside. There's no firmness at all to the pancake, and the inside is oozy in a good way. Oh, it's tasty. I don't know how many ways you can make these little things, right? But I'm still buying them, so I guess that they should keep cranking them out. Oh yeah, and to drink, guarana. You got to do the guarana. This truck is mooing. I'm bouncing back over the mountain pass here to get to the lake that then will take me down to where I'm staying. And the road is kind of bumpy, sorry, I'm like talking kind of And I've seen a couple of deer, and these were humongous deer. They had huge racks on their heads. And there's not a whole lot of hunting going on. Apparently the deer population and the bear population is exploding in Hokkaido. I'm not sure to what degree, but I've seen people mention it. And these things were like unbelievably big. It felt like mooses. Many mooses. What I'm surprised about the most is with how many deer I've seen, which has got to be in the hundreds at this point. I have not seen a single dead deer on the side of the road that got hit by a car, and I've only seen the deer in the road a couple times. They're usually on the side of the road. So I think maybe the deer here aren't completely stupid. Maybe they're aware of how to deal with cars, or maybe I'm just tempting fate by saying that. Other note, it is a lot colder up on this mountain than it was where I was at. I need my coat, but I just didn't put it on. I forgot about it. Look at this little town. It almost looks like something from Colorado or something. Feels like a western mountain town a little bit. Hokkaido native wood carving. Interesting. Yeah, this is an interesting vibe. Very different from other Japanese towns. So the little town with the mountain vibes is up against this lake. I think I can go through here. It's up against the lake that I was aiming for. It feels like a pretty cool little resort town, actually. A lot of wood carvings and stuff that I'm assuming are from Ainu style stuff, since that's the shop that I saw when I came in, and almost like totem pole style things. And this is like a deer like hanging out, and a bunch of boats and stuff that you can take out and go on the lake. And you can go on a motorboat, and it's kind of cheap, like 10 minutes for 1,300 yen. But I think you need 2 people. I'm only 1 people, so that would double the price if I was gonna do it by myself. I don't know about all that. That's getting a little expensive. I wish Katie was here. I'd totally do it. Totally do it. It's totally fun to go out and like zoom around one of the islands or something. But anyways, it's one of the downfalls of traveling as a solo dude. Sometimes you end up in a situation where you gotta have 2 people to do a thing and you're only 1 dude. I decided not to go that way, by the way, because it looks like you got to walk through a hotel. Guys, when you travel, make sure you send your dude some postcards. I got Katie's bears in the mail. As far as little resort towns go in Japan, this one is actually in really good shape. There's a lot of little shops that are actually still open. Things are functioning. That's kind of not normally what's going on in little places like this. So it must have some sort of draw that's keeping it alive in a way that other places don't. And it's pretty, and it's a nice little area, but they also have a little thing that is an Ainu village. And for those who aren't aware, Ainu are native peoples to the Hokkaido area and parts of northern Honshu. And they kind of ended up pretty badly oppressed. There aren't very many people left anymore that are like within the Ainu community. And it's kind of just another one of those like colonized by another power type situations. Like, it's not good. Bad shit happened. And this, I'm just a little worried about this. Like, is this thing like actually hooked into that community, or is it like cosplaying as that? And I can't tell. I don't know anything about like that type of stuff at all. Like, I'm zero level educated on it. So I don't know how to even speak about this or look at it. But you know what I mean? Like, if you went to like something and it was like a Native American thing and it was run by not Native American people, and kind of like, you're like marketing off of this situation, you know? But I don't know, maybe it's tied in with the community. I really have no idea. But it does just seem like they're selling like kind of like a lot of knickknacks and stuff. And some of it's cool stuff though. I mean, like hand carved bears and hand carved owls that look dope. Like, they look really cool. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just what exactly is going on the underside of this? It could be sketch. This place says they're serving Ainu food, which is interesting, which I know nothing at all about. On the menu, they have got some deer soup and some salmon soup and some popular pizza. But it says it's pulce, which I assume maybe is, yeah, okay, it's something from this area. So I have no idea, but it's a pizza. Maybe it's like actually a thing that actually gets made. They're just using that word to make it like understandable, like what it's gonna be, like what you're expecting. Just on the word pizza, I was like, I don't know if that's authentic. If nothing else, the imagery here is pretty cool. There just isn't that much learning taking place, at least not now. It looks like sometimes they do have some exhibitions and some things that can maybe help you understand a little bit more of the culture, but most of what I'm seeing is the stuff that's like superficial, like getting to see what things look like. There's a couple of buildings that are over here that have got thatched roofs and stuff, and I'm assuming it's the style that Ainu would have lived in back in the day. And you can go inside one of them. It's kind of like a museum. It's got pictures and some artifacts and items and stuff that you'd associate with people that live off the land, like way back before, you know, technology was a thing and stuff. But it's neat to see the difference in the way that the art and everything looks compared to what you would expect from even old style Japan. The style reminds me of what you would see with Native Americans in North America, with a bit of a twist on it, with the things that kind of look like totem poles and lots of animal imagery and the colors and just the carvings and the types of tools they were using and stuff. It's interesting though, you know, I mean, there's like a whole ocean there, you know what I'm saying? But I guess at some point the same peoples walk across that ocean, so I guess some of the culture kind of like just follows them and sticks with them for thousands of years. It's pretty crazy, man. Humanity is wild. Something of a relic. This is an ashtray. It's pretty gnarly in there. I don't know what the deal is in this town, but like every third person is white. Like, there's a lot of Western tourism going on. I would argue that, again, there might be more white people here than domestic tourists from what I'm seeing today. But again, it throws off the numbers when you're traveling on a weekday, because like domestic tourism doesn't happen on weekdays because people are at their gerbs, right? Like, international tourists are traveling the entire time they're here, so you see them more during the week time. So anyway, I'm just surprised. I've seen as many white people in Hokkaido the whole time I've been here. All right, it is about 4:15 right now, and that means I am going to head back to base camp, which is about an hour. So I'm just gonna kind of gun it. I don't plan on stopping anymore, and I will just be chilling and listening to some Bjork, and hopefully getting back before all the deer are jumping out on the road. Because I feel like I tempted fate earlier by saying they don't do that. I'm a little worried about my safety. But hopefully it should be a fun drive. Looks like it's a squiggly one over some mountains. And I'm probably going to make it home before it's dark, which is great news. All right, it is definitely getting wet enough that I should probably put on my other gear. Driving in the rain and also when it's starting to get dark sucks. It's like 0% fun, guys. And then also a deer could show up. I was leaving the town and there were just deer all over the place in the town. All right, I'm all set. I'm ready to scoot. Stay as dry as possible. The suit is actually pretty good, man. I can't believe it fits me. Like, it actually covers up my hands and stuff. Like, it's amazing. Nothing ever does that. Usually I'm rocking like this kind of business. Yeah, so this is miserable. The fog is brutal, man. You can barely see anything. Let me stick the camera from the phone into the helmet and show you guys what this looks like. As you can see, visibility is low and you're moving, and you can open the visor a little bit to see a little bit better, but then you just end up with getting pelted in the face with rain, which sucks. And it's not even rain, it's just I'm driving through a cloud and it's just the mist. It's like the in the cloud stuff that's precipitating. It's like not exactly like raining. It's like I am raining against the cloud or whatever, like a reverse of rain. But yeah, this blows, man. It's going to take me a lot longer to get home. I'm going really slow. And I'm trying to watch out for deer. Luckily, there's not a lot of traffic. There aren't big trucks driving by splashing on me or anything. So it could absolutely be worse. But it certainly isn't a good time. All right, I'm feeling clean. Had a shower, back at the tent. Once I came down the hill, the rain kind of stopped happening. It was a little soggy still, but mostly the good part was that the fog went away. The fog was what really sucked. I realized while I was driving, I was like, not only is this like not fun, it's also stealing what could be fun. But I still saw so many deer. There's just so many of them. It's terrifying, but again, they don't run on the road, so I guess, I don't know. It still sketches me out. But before I left the little town with all the Ainu village and everything, I went into a convenience store and just picked up some sushi and some fruit. So I'm good to eat for the evening, and I am pretty much set to go. I think I'm going to leave this area tomorrow. I'm not sure where I'm going to go. I'm going to look at the weather and the radar and kind of see like what feels right, and then make an adjustment tomorrow on what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to do laundry and stuff in the morning as well before I split. Because then I can have like, I'm going to take a shower in the morning as well, just because I'm finicky. But then I can have a dry towel when I leave and everything is dry and clean and everything. So I'll just deal with the laundry tomorrow. It's not a big deal. I'm in no rush. And I don't think checkout's like 11 or something crazy. So that makes this really, really simple to make moves and just hang out. And this is just a very chill place to be, even though, like I said earlier, it's a bit expensive. But yeah, today was good. I did like, oh boy, a lot of miles. Hold on a second. Let's look at a thing. Timeline, going back in time. I did 107 kilometers. So 2.5 hours worth of driving. I did a pretty good loop, and it was a lot of fun. Just driving and zooming around and stuff. Scooty is so much fun. Just so much fun. And like I said, I don't know what I kind of want to go south tomorrow maybe. There is another national park down there called Kushiro Shitsugen Kokuritsu Koen, and that looks like a place I've never been. I can check that out. It's possible Kushiro also would have another armband for my camera, because it's a fairly big city, but I haven't Googled yet to see if they have any like stores that would carry things like that. And after that, I have no idea what I'll do. It'll depend on weather. That's basically what I'm doing. Just kind of freeballing it based on weather. All right, it's bedtime. Well, it's dinner time. Then it's bedtime. And I might live stream. Note to self, put the e-sheep somewhere inside of the B-roll for that.